If you have any questions regarding the activity, I can also help you if you have any questions, okay?
Okay.
All right, so let me share my screen with you.
Okay, I can see the slide.
Perfect. Okay, so here, let me move you over here. There. Okay, so this is for phase 3, design of assessment practices, okay?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right. So this process that we are going to begin, and we are also expecting that through this activity, we are able to achieve how to propose and use authentic assessment activities for the development of higher order thinking um, and communicative competencies of our students. And we will also learn how to use assessment practices based on the principles of reliability, authenticity, validity, and practicality in the language that we are teaching, which is English. So you can tell me if it changed. Did it change?
Yes.
Okay, so what is authentic assessment? And before we look at what authentic assessment is, can you tell me what you think authentic assessment is?
The authentic is that you can uh, find in any uh, articles that they are well known, I think,
Okay,
or
okay,
is every okay.
so we are going to talk about that authentic assessment is an evaluation approach where the students are asked real world challenges so that they can perform tasks to answer a real problem, right? The difference between authentic assessment and traditional assessment, which is usually quizzes, exams, or things like that, is that the traditional assessment measures knowing what to do, knowing a topic, but authentic assessments require students to use skills, knowledge, and judgment to create a product or complete a performance. So they measure procedural knowledge, knowing how. In traditional assessment, we measure knowing what, but with authentic assessment, we are going to measure the knowing how. So they will answer to a particular question, but demonstrating their capacities rather than just answering A, B, C, or D. Okay, does this clarify?
Yes.
Okay, good. And did it change?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what makes an assessment truly authentic? It's a combination of different things that I'll like to talk to you about. Remember and recalling what we just saw, that the authentic assessment has to do with giving our students a certain problem or a problematic or a situation where they need to use skills, knowledge. They also need to use capacities. They need to interact with one another. So, what makes an assessment truly authentic? The first thing that we need to consider is the real world context. So, the task must be situated in a real world scenario. So instead of having our students per se write an essay about a vacation, maybe we can just tell them to interact in a blog and post a travel website so that other people can be instructed. And another thing that this makes a difference in assessment, which is authentic, is defined problems. These defined problems are real world problems and are rarely tidy or easy to solve. An authentic task should require students to grapple with ambiguity. So there should be a problem where you can give possible different answers, but they need to use their own judgment and critical thinking, and they need to answer the question, which is not premeditated, or it doesn't have to be an exact question. It could be an array or different answers that could be seen through their critical thinking and how they constructed their knowledge, which they gave us on the predetermined correct answer. So another thing that we could use is integration of skills. So this is another fact that is very important on assessment when it comes to authentic assessment. So we need to have integration of skills. So in the previous slide, I said that we need to have real world context and they need to define problems. We need to have a real world problem that needs solving. Here we have another one, which is integration of skills. The task should require students to use multiple skills so that they are able to do different things at the same time. So a language task may involve researching the topic, discussing it in a group, and presenting the findings. So when I have a student doing a task-based activity where I can integrate all the skills, I am using authentic assessment, a real audience. The work should be intended for someone other than the teacher. This could be classmates, another class, or even the community. Because when we ask our students to perform in front of an audience different than their classmates, they will have to make sure that they raise up to the occasion and they study and they perform and they use their best knowledge to respond to this specific task. Another one could be known criteria. This is non-negotiable. Students must know the rubric and standards for success. So when we want our student to succeed in a task, we must give him a rubric, which will let our students know where he needs to be, where he needs to go, and what is expected of him or her, so that we don't have a surprise at the end of the assessment process. So like I said, there are, according to what I'm giving you, there are 5 different things that make assessment truly authentic. The first one, real life scenarios where our students can propose, where they can write their own ideas, where they can resort to their previous knowledge. We also have defined problems. We need to have real world problems that need solving, which they don't all have a single answer, but they could have different answers, and the student needs to use critical thinking and also judgment. The other one is integrating skills. So the integration of different skills will make our students be more knowledgeable and more capable of communicating with the teacher in an audience, or when he needs to use a real audience. We will make a higher stake, so the student will be able to perform and be more committed to his task and learning process. And finally, we need to always give a rubric or standards for our students before they start the task, so they know exactly what is expected of them. Okay.
Okay.
So when we talk about learning outcomes, it's important that we have the blueprint. The blueprint would be then clear learning outcomes. So when we are talking about a rubric or when we're talking about learning outcomes, this is what they are expected to reach. They are expected to identify the desired results. They need to determine acceptable evidence. How will the students demonstrate their achieve task and plan learning experiences? What instruction, practice, and resources will help them succeed? So when I need to give my students the core outcomes, I need to tell them exactly what is expected of them and what they will be able to do. Students will be able to deliver a persuasive oral argument on a social issue, and then they have to demonstrate it, right? So they will do that in a 5-minute formal debate, and they can plan this through lessons or rhetorical devices, practicing debates and vocabulary for argumentation. If we don't have a clear outcome, the assessment will only turn into a fun activity, but it won't have a defined purpose. So every time we are involved in the teaching experience, we need to be able to have our students have a pedagogic purpose on their activities. So when we have this in the classroom, the impact of it all in the classroom is that it boosts motivation. It makes them to take real life issues, real life problems, real life situations, and they will be more engaged and they will be happier to work in that situation because they can refer to reality. Also, it promotes deeper learning. Our students then must apply, analyze, they need to synthesize information rather than just memorizing it. When we are going for deeper learning, then we need to create real life situations where the students can be assessed. Develops 21st century skills because it fosters collaboratively work, critical thinking, creativity, and problem solving, along with language skills. We are never far away from language skills. We just do it with another approach to be able to have our student use higher order thinking skills. Then we would have to also focus our assessment into being more authentic. So what skills are boosted once I bring authentic assessment into the classroom? The first thing I got here was when I bring authentic assessment to the classroom, I need to be very specific and explicit to my students as to what is expected of them, what they need to do, and how will they be graded. Then this will boost their motivation because they will be able to work with real life situations or that they have direct relevance in their life. By promoting deeper learning, students will have to analyze, apply, and synthesize information, and we are not relying on memory. We are relying on critical thinking skills, in collaboration, in being creative, and be able to solve problems. Another specific Other specific skills that are boosted are communicative competence, which naturally, when we have a task where they need to communicate, they will be able to integrate their different skills to complete the task and do it accurately by using the different possibilities that they have. It also boosts their pragmatic competence, and students learn how to use language appropriately for a given social context and for a purpose, whether it is a formal or informal context. So this pragmatic competence, when we motivate our students and we give them the opportunity to integrate his skills, and is this activity that he's doing or she's doing will have an authentic assessment, then the pragmatic competence also gets boosted. Intercultural competence. Many authentic tasks, like cross-cultural simulations, require students to navigate different cultures. So when we propose an intercultural activity or cross-cultural activity, our students will not only be exposed to culture, to different identities from other people, but also will enrich his or her own. And it will help with their discourse competence because the students need to practice their speech. They need to practice how they are going to communicate in a cohesive manner where their words make sense and their meaning makes sense. So they need to have cohesion, and whether if we're doing it um, in a conversation, we're doing it by posting a video, we're doing it on a podcast, whatever the way it may be, the students will have to accommodate their discourse competence. So now, looking at our task that we have right now, I'm looking at the step 1 where we have this reading of authenticity and engagement, the question of quality in assessment. So I ask you, did you read your this reference yet? One second, let me see what's in here. Oops.
I was my microphone off. No,
Ah,
I haven't have time to read the documents or the references, but I will have to read uh, from today because yeah,
yeah,
the time flies for this activity.
it's true. And it's a long activity. So now I want you to reflect. This is one part of the activity that you will have to do. So this part, after reading this, maybe you might change your point of view. So for you, we already asked you what is authentic assessment. So now, can you tell me what authentic assessment is?
The authentic assessment is everything that is real, no, is real that you can find in any contest. Yes,
Yeah,
and it's good to work maybe in situation of problems that that they are true because there are different options how to solve them, no?
yeah,
And is the way that the students can learn more when when you have to use a real situation, no?
very good. When we put the students in a place where they need to use their critical thinking, their collaborative skills, where they have to be creative, analytic, all these things
Mm.
will revolve around as authentic assessment. So, what is needed to create authenticity in the assessment practices? What do we need to do? What do you think?
I mean, I think that I have been working as a teacher in a high school, so I was explaining the comparatives and the superlatives, and I explain with the students using some of them. Okay, coming in front of the class, and so you have to describe the students to compare the boys and the girls. So the students maybe they laugh about them, but in the situation that the student can learn more or they have a significant learning about that because they see a real situation on the students. It's different that I can, for example, draw a picture and compare the things or people, no? But I
Mhm.
have to use a real situation with them. I
Very
suppose that
good.
is very important for that.
Right. We need to create a problem-based task and give them a real situation for them to solve, right? And also important in this sense, remember that they always need to have a rubric. They need to know what they will be assessed on. So, what do you think is the importance of feedback? The importance of feedback.
the importance of feedback is that you have to give positive feedback to the students. So I think that they will do the best, because sometimes if the teacher gives feedback, but it doesn't clear for the students, it's possible that the students don't make a good job. No?
Okay, so giving them feedback will give them the opportunity to improve, to find out what they made wrong, where the mistakes happened, and it will also help them with the availability of them to continue looking for the right answer. So they maybe didn't find it at the first chance they had, but they might be able to do it in the next one up. So it's important that we use authentic assessment in the language classroom because of the reasons that we shared, that they will have more critical thinking skills, they will be more creative, they will be able to take responsibility upon what they're doing, and the students will also learn to look at reality, look at real life with other eyes, try for them to understand the importance of real life and real situations, and more so than that is that they learn how to do something with what they are learning. Not only they need to do and just give answers, they need to perform for them to acquire more knowledge. And which benefits and challenges and limitations do we have? So at some point we have these benefits that the student benefits because he is truly working on his learning. He is an active agent of his learning. The quality of work and everything that they do is much more engaging for them because it provides them a more richer view of their abilities. So when a student is able to provide quality work, he will be more engaged and he will learn more than using, traditional testing, and so that only measures the what. There are some challenges, which of course, being realistic, designing authentic tasks is, time consuming. We also have to do a lot of grading, which is more complex than just putting in a test, a true or false. But being able to construct this type of assessment with our students essentially will give them more benefits than detriments. So it's important that another one of the challenges that we have is the making of the rubric, and maybe thinking, oh, is this rubric appropriate or is it not? So it is a little more time consuming, yes, but it is a better way to learn and a better way to assess in education within the language classroom. There are some limitations, um, because sometimes not everything is perfect, right? So sometimes we just have to know many topics in a short period of time. So it's difficult to do everything as assessment authenticity, but we can try and include authentic assessment little by little into our practice so that when we apply it more often and more often, we will see how effective of a strategy it is. Okay, and that's it for the presentation. Now we are going to talk a little about the guide. So let me share my screen with you. Oops, here, hang on. Where are you? Right here. Okay, so I'm going to share the guide. Okay, so this is the guide. The activity guide is it's quite explicit. We have until the 20th of October, so you have 10 days to complete this task. It's worth 150 points. Yeah.
10
So only 20.
days.
We have, yeah, you have 10 days only because today is the 10th, the 9th. Well, actually you have 11 days.
Yes.
And and this activity moves in different steps. Okay, so the first step that you are going to do is that you have to read authenticity and engagement in assessment and answer the questions that are here, right? So here are the authenticity and engagement. Give me 1 second because I think that I have that. I'm going to send it to you. Authenticity and assessment and engagement. Let's see. What is the name of that? An engagement. See, I will send you the, now that I finish sharing, I will send you this reading because it's difficult to download.
Okay.
Okay. So once, the first thing you're going to do is read this. Once you have read that, you need to answer these questions right here, which are the same ones that I asked you, right? And then the chapter presents some features of authentic.
Evening, tutor. I'm sorry it's late.
Hello, Maria Alejandra. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Okay. Welcome. I'm just explaining the guide.
Okay.
All right.
Thank
so
you. I'm sorry.
It's
Yes.
okay. So then once you read this reference here, we are going to go and answer these questions based on what we read, okay? Because now we were answering just from what we know, but now we are going to answer based on what we read. So the chapter presents some features of authentic assessment. Use the table below, this table right here, to propose one evaluative activity that matches each one of those features. So which one are the assessment features? The activity must be connected to the considerations presented in the chapter. We need to read it so that we know what feature I'm going to write here, what is the evaluative activity, and the procedures and tools, okay? So I need to do that. Okay. Then after that, they're asking me, do you consider that your typical assessment practices are authentic? Why or why not? Would you be interested in applying such an approach? What can be the benefits? How? So you have to answer these different questions after you have read, interiorized the information, and you have made this chart. Then you go ahead and answer these questions, and now you are ready for step 2. In this phase, we are going to take the virtual workshop that you did during your biopedagogical characteristics of education. When you did that, so you're going to get that workshop and you are going to work on it for this course, okay? That particular workshop, you are going to adjust it following the theoretical and methodological principles addressed in the course. So you are going to edit this virtual environment that you already constructed. You are going to edit it so that it responds to learning and evaluative activities that reflect these topics. Okay, just not only what you already have, you could use some of the things that you have if they respond to these topics, okay? But you need to take the virtual environment that you already constructed and adjust it, okay? So this must count on an appropriate pedagogical and didactic arrangement with brief instructions, with multimedia. with all these didactic, authentic materials, the student needs to work individually and collaboratively, and also have interactive learning activities, right? And these evaluative activities must be applied at different moments of the workshop. So it is pretty much following along the same line as the biopedagogical workshop, but now we are going to transform it using the principles we are learning here of authenticity when it comes to assessment. And then once your workshop is developed, you will assess your learners' performance and your own performance, and they will assess your workshop and your pedagogical performance through some rubrics. So you need to apply the workshop, okay, through some students. You will apply it, and then you have to also have them measure the performance. Have them measure the visual environment. Was it good? They learn, what did they learn, and so on. And they will also assess you, right? And apart from the different evaluative activities, you need to include it in the workshop. Create an evaluative quantitative rubric with 10 criteria and performance. So this rubric needs to have at least 10 criteria and have different descriptions of their dimensions to evaluate the learner's performance. So it must be based on the elements of biopedagogy and complex theory you have studied in these courses. In the last course, biopedagogy, you learned about complex theory, and you also learned about the elements of biopedagogy. So we are going to link that knowledge and put it into play in this evaluative activity that we're going to do. On the other hand, the participants will evaluate your workshop too as well, and your role as a pedagogical mediator. So you have to create another evaluative rubric with 10 criteria and the description. So you need to create one rubric for the students and one for the students to evaluate the workshop and another one to evaluate you. Okay. And you can use the references of Unit 2 to discover more about the design and the assessment. Finally, a self-assessment will be conducted by you, for which you will design a third evaluative rubric. So you have to construct in total 3 rubrics, okay? And these rubrics must be based on the elements of biopedagogy and the complex theory. So you will create one rubric for yourself to evaluate yourself, one rubric for the students to evaluate you and your role of a mediator, and another rubric to evaluate the workshop itself. Once you have all that information here, we have here some advice for you. You can take a look at this, which categories you're gonna take into considerations, and then just the guidelines for developing. Okay, this is a guide that is very helpful. So if you go through it step by step, you will be able to finish your work. So I am going to send you here in the chat the document I promised, because one of your students had a little problem, or your classmate, sorry, had a little problem downloading it. So let me see if it's not going to let me. Here. Attach a file. Upload from this device. Maria Alejandra, tell me.
Thank you, teacher. Should all rubrics have 10 criteria or just the student's rubric?
The students' rubrics have 10 criteria. The rubric for evaluating for evaluating you as a mediator also have 10 criteria. Okay. And there's 10 criteria. Okay, so it says right here, the participants will evaluate your workshop and your role as a pedagogical mediator. Create another evaluative rubric with 10 criteria and descriptions of their dimensions. In this rubric, 5 criteria will be addressed to evaluate the effectiveness of the workshop, and the other 5, the effectiveness of your pedagogical skills. So I make one rubric, 10 criteria to evaluate the workshop, another one with 10 criteria to evaluate your performance, and another one, self-assessment, that is also 10 criteria, okay? So all of the rubrics have 10 criteria, but they are different in nature because they are aimed to different public, to a different audience, okay?
Okay, I'm sorry.
Perfect. So here I just sent you the document, authenticity and engagement, because there was a problem with one of the students had a problem downloading it. So I really don't know what happened, but in case that you have the same problem, well, here it is, okay? And do you have any questions, any more questions, anything?
Yes, teacher, the virtual environment, I can select any website, for example, Wiz or, yes, to do that?
For the virtual environment, which did you use in the last course for biopedagogy? Because it's the same one. That same one, you bring it to this class.
Yeah.
It's the same one. So I
Okay.
don't know which tool you used. So you just go to your files when you did that workshop, look it up, and then you need to transform it to meet this criteria.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, guys, if you don't have any more questions, tell me.
The answer for the part A, I had to post in the forum the answer of the questions or the readings.
Yes, you have to if you want to, so that we can, talk and comment among that.
Okay. Thank you,
Okay.
Tudor.
Thank you.
I had to work hard on weekend.
Yes, you do. Good thing is that Monday is a holiday, so you have
Yes.
time. All right. So
Okay.
I'm going to stop the recording right now. Give me 1 second
Mhm.
and stop.